Hey guys, Dre here, back at it once again with an episode of Dre Talks, where I talk about things that aren't necessarily sporting related. And given the biggest scandal to hit BBC TV in quite some time, since Jimmy Savile, probably more than likely, I felt like it was worth talking about Jeremy Clarkson and his suspension from Top Gear. And this is quite a heated one, and it's got a lot of people talking, and given that I'm a huge Top Gear fan myself, and given that I also run a series on this channel regarding Top Gear's reviews, I thought I'd address this one, because I feel like I've got to be that guy again. You should know me by now. I'm not afraid to speak my mind, and neither is Clarkson, so, haha, I guess it fits. So, for the story, for those guys that don't know, yesterday it was revealed that Jeremy Clarkson was suspended from BBC Television's Top Gear. The reason that BBC used officially was the word fracas, which I thought was hilarious in its own right, given that fracas is a foreign word. I've not heard that one used in years. But they called it a fracas. The Radio Times reported that he allegedly punched the producer. There's still little bits of information trickling through, basically. But that's the story so far, and he may allegedly have punched somebody out. There's been no official investigation by the BBC taking place yet. Apparently this happened on last week's show, last week's taping. And it's only just come to the foreground now, and Clarkson's been suspended pending an investigation. As a result, the remainder of Top Gear's series, there's 3 episodes left in this current series. It's a 10-episode series. As you know, episode 7 aired this past week. The rest of the series has been postponed until further notice. So they may just end off the series here. They've already shown 7 episodes, so that may be more than enough. But essentially the show has been postponed until further notice. It's quite a hedge. It's obviously been quite a big story because 1, it's Top Gear, and 2, because it's Jeremy Clarkson. Now, for those people that underestimate why this is such a big story, you've got to look at what we're dealing with here, and that's Top Gear itself. Top Gear is the world's most watched television program. 500 million people watch Top Gear every episode because it also airs on the BBC World Service. It is the most watched TV program in the world. It is the biggest TV franchise in the world, and I think something like a dozen countries have their own version of the show, including Korea, including France now, including Germany, America, etc. A bunch of big countries have got their own versions now. Like we mentioned the American show because Tanner Faust was featured on last week's episode. But this is a huge, huge TV franchise, one that's made the BBC millions and millions of pounds over the last 13 years it's been back on the TV, because it came back in 2002. And the funny thing is that this show has had a nature of pissing people off ever since it came back. Not so much in the early years, but once they got really popular again, they started getting more and more edgy. Now, the thing is that Clarkson's gaffes, he's been gaffing for a long time, and I think a lot of them have been silly and have been blown out of proportion a little bit, but at the same time, it's getting harder and harder to defend Clarkson these days. It really is. I mean, Jalopnik put together a really, really good list of things he's done to piss people off since 2006. I'll give you a quick rundown. June 2006, calls bus drivers little Hitler bastards. December 06, apologises after Clarkson calls a car a bit gay. 2007, Clarkson and crew get pelted with rocks in the Deep South, that famous US special. March 2007, Clarkson apologises after asking Hammond if he's a mental after his head injury, and James May asks if he now starts dribbling randomly. Clearly a joke to take the piss out of people that, have mental brain damage or whatever. November 2008, Pisses makes a joke about truck drivers murdering prostitutes. 2009, slammed for having a suicide joke in their Volkswagen commercials. November 09, Clarkson pisses off the Romanian government by making jokes about communism, said gypsies can be violent if they don't look like the look of you, and called the place Borat country. Not a good idea. 2011 was the Mexican jokes they made, calling them lazy, feckless and flatulent, saying, I'm sorry, but I just imagine waking up and remembering you're Mexican. And Clarkson added, it'll be brilliant because you can just go back to sleep again. Clearly taking the piss out of the Mexican stereotype. in November 2011, not on Top Gear, but he calls for the public execution of striking workers in Britain, saying he'd have them shot, and that was on the One show. A car review in 2013 pissed off the British and the Chinese, he said it was Chinese as a chopstick, and, managed to piss off both Britain and China in that one. He used the word slope on air on the season 21 finale, where, he talked about building the bridge over the River Cock, and, he uses the word slope on air, which is offensive to Asian people. And, of course, the biggest one was May last year, where he used the he accused of using the N-word in rehearsal footage in a tape that got thrown out a couple of years ago, or at least he thought he got thrown out, even though he gave a rather logical explanation for the issue, and I think a lot of people gave him the benefit of the doubt over that one, but also a lot of people started to turn the tide on him, me included. And of course you got the Argentina scandal as well from the Patagonia special that came out over Christmas. So, he's done a lot to piss people off over the last few years, and you know what, because Top Gear is the nature that it is an enormous franchise, so you know what, Clarkson can probably get away with a lot more than this if it came down to it, and now he's beginning to ride his luck. He was given a final warning by the BBC after the racism scandal of 2014, and my view on that was always that I don't think he's a racist, but I think he's certainly ignorant, and I think as a TV broadcaster of more than 30 years, he should know better than to, even entertain the possibility of saying the N-word. Like, you can't do things like that. It's as simple as that. You're going to upset people. Period. Now, ever since then, an online petition has been made and has already racked up over 250,000 signatures at the time of recording, called, hashtag Bring Back Clarkson. Can't say I'm surprised. Like I said, world's most watched TV program, huge cult following. People are going to try and give Clarkson a pass for anything at this point. And if the story is true that he's punched out a producer backstage, that's completely unacceptable. In my opinion, if I told you that I punched out a work employee at work, would you have sympathy for me? No, I'd probably have been fired, and you'd probably tell me serves you right, Dre. This is the problem. Clarkson's got in my opinion, Clarkson's got a god complex, a sense of untouchability in the BBC, and given how Top Gear has become this huge global phenomenon, it's hard to imagine him not having that kind of complex, because he's always been controversial. He's always been unafraid to speak his mind. That's just who Clarkson is. And you know what? He represents a good chunk of people in this modern era of political correctness that people like to keep throwing around. People love throwing that term around. PC. Being anti-PC. It's like Katie Hopkins, like Piers Morgan. Dudes that are hated, but because they know they say controversial things, TV networks will still keep giving them jobs to put them on their TV channels in the hope they'll say controversial things to get people talking and to get people to watch their programming. People want to hate Katie Hopkins, but she's probably making more money than you do. That's the thing. It's like, being hated gets them paychecks. And you know why that is? It's because deep down, in a lot of people's minds, they don't want to admit this, but they respect the fact they have the balls to speak their mind. Because people love flying the flag for freedom of speech, especially after the Charlie Hebdo incidents of last year, and obviously the tragic story of, their offices getting blown up and attacked by, terrorists, basically. And, obviously that's a story for a different debate. But essentially, Clarkson is one of those kinds of dudes. He's a maverick. He's a TV maverick. And people deep down like those kind of dudes. People are going to look for any reason to defend him. But, quite frankly, in my opinion, if you're going down this road of innocent until proven guilty, you have to look at it the other way. What if he's guilty? What if he punched out a dude backstage? That's completely unacceptable. He should lose his job for that. You know what? The problem is that, and this is the problem the BBC have got as well, where in my opinion, if Clarkson gets fired from Top Gear dies. Period. End the discussion. It's already happened. Back in the late 90s, back in the mid to late 90s, when the original Top Gear was around, and Top Gear was more of a magazine-style format TV show like Fifth Gear is now, back in those days, when Clarkson left, it was the big three was Clarkson, Tiff Needell, and Quentin Wilson. Clarkson quit the show, and then ratings got cut in half. Bottom line is, as much as people hate Clarkson, they can't deny he makes entertaining television. And the original Top Gear died after Clarkson left. The BBC probably deep down knows that if they fire Clarkson, Top Gear is finished. And that's a big revenue stream for the BBC because of the size and the magnitude of the show itself. Clarkson is not replaceable. You can't just plug in, say, Chris Harris and hope the show, magically survives. People would still watch, but the fact Clarkson wouldn't be there, I guarantee people would stop watching. Because it's already happened once before. And that's the problem with the Top Gear franchise now. Clarkson is untouchable. And if you let him go, then the show dies. Simple as that. And a lot of fans would not be able to take that, and I think that's probably the biggest reason why they signed that petition. They just don't want to see their favourite TV show go off the air. Like, seriously, I think Clarkson could fuck a nun from behind and he'd probably still get away with it these days. I'm telling you, that's the amount of influence he's got over something like this. And yeah, it's quite an annoying situation because, it's clearly a matter of conflict here in the BBC, and is that an entirely healthy thing you want for a franchise where your main presenter in the face of your franchise can get away with punching out members of staff, if true? Not sure that's a healthy precedent. I mean, me personally, I'm okay if Top Gear ends. I mean, Top Gear's been around for 13 years and 22 series at this point. I'm okay if it goes away. There's not much more Top Gear can go as a franchise. But I will also admit, it is one of the most entertaining shows on TV today, and it would be a shame to see it go, especially over something as pitiful and as, stupid as this. Something that could have been completely avoidable if Clarkson hadn't just snapped one day backstage. Like, he's a grown man of 54 and has been on TV for over 30 years. You'd think he would know better than this, especially after being on a final warning and, being told by the BBC you're probably going to get sacked if you do something stupid again. This man can't help himself. The problem is, the BBC need Clarkson more than Clarkson needs them. He'd find other work. He's Jeremy Clarkson. He's the biggest and most controversial TV broadcaster in this country who didn't touch kids. That's saying something. But, hey, I'd love to hear what you guys think on this one. I just think Clarkson is a big face, not only just to Top Gear, but to the PC brigade in general, and how TV likes hate figures. TV likes, people like him that aren't afraid to speak their minds and, aren't afraid to piss some people off, because people, like said in The Dark Knight, some people just want to see the world burn, and people like ruffling feathers. Like, people just like other people like that sometimes, and I think that's why Clarkson's gotten away with it for so long. But you can't deny the man is getting harder and harder to defend, and I think that's a real big part of the problem here. But let me know what you guys think. I just felt like venting this one out. By the way, my F1 2014 season preview is coming out tomorrow. It's a big video. I hope you're there for it. And there'll be another Dre Talks, Dre TV talking about Guido van der Gaard's legal case coming up soon. So big stuff on the way. Until then, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.